A desperate race to get to the sinking Titanic, the Carpathia almost destroyed her own engines. If you're a lover of all things history, then don't forget to hit the follow. It is 11:40 p.m. on the 14th of April 1912. RMS Titanic, which at the time was the world's largest luxury cruise liner, has just struck an iceberg. It very quickly becomes clear to the crew of the ship that the ship is sinking, which is ironic given the fact that the ship is widely believed to have been unsinkable. Crew begin to launch the lifeboats, however there are not enough lifeboats to save everybody on board the ship. To make matters worse, the lifeboats are only being launched half full. At the same time the lifeboats are being launched, Titanic crew are launching distress signals, while the wireless operators Harold Bride and Jack Phillips begin sending out CQD and SOS messages. It is after midnight on board the Carpathia and their wireless operator, Cottam, is off duty. However, he is still listening to messages that are coming in. Harold missed the messages that were coming from the Titanic. He received messages from Cape Cod. There was message traffic inbound for the Titanic, but no one was answering. Knowing that the wireless operators on board the Titanic were overworked, Harold decides to relay the message from Cape Cod to the Titanic. In response, he gets a distress call from Jack Phillips saying, "Come at once, we have struck a berg, it's CQD, old man." Skeptical about the severity of the Titanic's disaster, Jack has to repeat himself twice. Cottam then took the news to the officer on watch, but like Cottam had been, was skeptical about the severity of the Titanic's disaster. As the officer on watch was so slow to act, Cottam decided he'd had enough and went straight to the head of command. Picking up the captain of the ship, Arthur Rostron, Cottam was initially scolded by Rostron before Rostron found out how severe the Titanic's disaster was. Rostron immediately leapt into action, gave the orders for all hands on deck. The night of the Titanic sinking, the Carpathia was not the closest ship to the Titanic. It was the SS Californian, which was only about 20 miles away from the Titanic's location. They had also seen the Titanic's distress rockets. However, in a decision that remains controversial to this day, the Californian ignored the Titanic's distress signals. Carpathia, which was roughly 60 miles away from the Titanic, was able to get there in 3.5 hours. The ship, which normally averaged 14 knots, was travelling at the max capacity for the ship of about 17 knots. It placed a great deal of stress on the Carpathia's engines, and as a result, the ship was damaged. By the time the Carpathia got there, the Titanic was already underwater, able to save over 700 people from the water and the lifeboats. Carpathia, which was initially headed to Austria-Hungary, turned around and headed back to New York. Rostron and the crew of the Carpathia would go on to become heroes, Rostron even being knighted by King George V. For the next few years, the Carpathia would continue to sail the seven seas, but then in 1914, World War I broke out. Like many other ships, the Carpathia was handed over for military use. Tragically, in July of 1918, the Carpathia was torpedoed and the ship sank. 218 out of the 223 people on board the ship survived. If you enjoyed this video, I will see you next time.